Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be drawing a simple 5-spoke wheel. Drawing a wheel in perspective can really make or break your car sketch. You need to practice your ellipses. So on separate pages, just keep practicing ellipses and it will really help you kind of nail that overall shape of the wheel. Once I have my ellipse in place, I tend to like to start with the top spoke and to start to break in those voids in the wheel. And then I move around to the bottom of the wheel and draw in that other central void, and then from there I can build the other 2 spokes around that. And that gives me a pretty good balanced composition of the 5 spokes. Once I have the spokes blocked in, I can come back in and add detail and start to make the wheel unique, so it's not just a generic 5-spoke. So here I'm adding this little kind of blade twist at the end of each spoke. And like typical, I'm just blocking in the design here at the early stage. Start to indicate some thickness of the rubber of the tire. And we'll start to tighten in all the line work, start to make the line work pop. Now that the design is kind of sketched in, let's come back into that hub. We'll add some lug nuts and probably a brand logo right here on the hub. And maybe there's a texture, a groove texture on this kind of raised surface on the hub. Next, I'm going to come in with a Sharpie. Don't be afraid to add a lot of contrast through line weight in your sketches. You can see how thick I'm being with the Sharpie. It's like 3 or 4 strokes thick here. And this is really going to make the spokes pull forward in the sketch. Really kind of simulating almost like a cast shadow back onto the disc brakes. And you could be expressive with that Sharpie too, right? Go thick to thin, let it drag out. And I see this a lot in young students. They're afraid of adding this level of contrast to the sketch, but this is what really makes it. And it's scary because you can ruin the sketch this way. But the worst thing that has to happen is you just start over with a clean sheet of paper. It's not a big deal. Once I get this Sharpie fully in here, I'm going to come back with the flare pen and shade in the rest of those voids. The whole center doesn't have to go fully to black. So here I'm letting the Sharpie be kind of the thickness and indicating black, and then adding in the flare pen. And let's add a secondary detail on the tip of these blades that give the wheel a little bit of direction. And there you go. I'm kind of tighten in a little bit of extra line work here, make it seem a little glossier, a little more thick to thin in some of these areas. But you have a good 5-spoke wheel that you can add into any car sketch. As always, if you have any questions or comments, post below, and feel free to suggest anything you'd like to see in future videos in the comments as well. Alright, happy sketching, everybody.